Admiral Kira Petal stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching the sunset paint the Rocky Mountains in brilliant orange. The message from the Galactic Council had arrived 3 hours ago. After centuries of wondering if we were alone in the universe, humanity finally had its answer. They're expecting a response. "Admiral," said Commander James Way, approaching with a datapad in hand. "The Council's diplomatic vessel will arrive in orbit within 48 hours. Kira nodded, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Then it's time to put Operation Humble Beginning into action. Send word to Admiral Rodriguez. All advanced ships are to retreat to the dark side of Jupiter. Only the older vessels remain visible." The plan had been in place for decades. Earth's intelligence services had detected alien signals years ago, and the military had prepared accordingly. While the public saw only modest space stations and early model ships, deeper in the solar system lay humanity's true fleet, a force that could rival any in the galaxy. The next day, as the alien vessel approached Earth, they transmitted their message across all frequencies. "Greetings, humans. We are representatives of the Galactic Council. Your species has achieved faster-than-light travel, qualifying you for evaluation and potential membership." The Council's ship was impressive, a sleek vessel nearly 2 kilometers long, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly metal. But Kira knew that appearances could be deceiving. After all, that was exactly what humanity was counting on. First contact took place in Geneva. The alien delegation, led by High Counselor Zixtal of the Arcturus Collective, towered over their human counterparts. Their crystalline bodies refracted light in mesmerizing patterns, and their voices resonated with harmonics impossible for human vocal cords to produce. Kira played her role perfectly. She presented Earth's most advanced vessels, ships that were purposefully designed to appear at least a century behind the Council's technology. The aliens' dismissive glances and barely concealed smirks told her the deception was working. "While we appreciate your species' achievement in reaching the stars," Zixtal announced, their crystalline form pulsing with what seemed like patronizing amusement, "the Council has certain standards. Your technology is primitive by our measure. Perhaps in another century, you might be ready for associate membership." Behind Kira, the Earth delegation muttered in feigned disappointment. But she noticed something in Zixtal's demeanor, a hint of relief. The Council wasn't just dismissive. They were afraid. Afraid of competition, afraid of change, afraid of anything that might disrupt their carefully maintained balance of power. That fear would be their undoing. Over the next 6 months, Earth continued its charade. The Council maintained a small observation post in orbit, monitoring humanity's progress. They watched as humans struggled with basic antimatter containment, fumbled with rudimentary shield technology, and celebrated minor achievements that would have been elementary to Council species. Meanwhile, deep in the shadows of the gas giants, humanity's real fleet grew. The flagship, UESS Prometheus, was complete, a vessel that incorporated not only humanity's best technology, but also reverse-engineered innovations from dozens of alien wreckages found over the years. The deception might have continued longer, but fate had other plans. A distress signal reached Earth from a colony in the Proxima Centauri system. Pirates from the Orion Syndicate, taking advantage of humanity's perceived weakness, had launched a raid on the fledgling settlement. "The Council's observers are requesting permission to assist," Commander Wee reported, his voice tight with controlled anger. "They say their ships could reach Proxima in time to save most of the colonists." Kira stood from her desk, her decision made. "Decline their offer, Commander. It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." The order went out. Operation Rising Phoenix was now active. As the Council observers watched in shock, massive vessels began emerging from behind Jupiter, their hull plating absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The Prometheus led the fleet, its size dwarfing even the Council's diplomatic vessel. "Impossible," Zixtal transmitted from the observation post. "Your species. You've been hiding this. We learned long ago, Counselor. Kira responded, now aboard the Prometheus's bridge, that it's wise to understand the galaxy before letting the galaxy understand you. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have pirates to deal with. The human fleet jumped to faster than light speed using drive technology the Council had believed was still theoretical. They arrived at Proxima Centauri in minutes rather than hours, their advanced sensors immediately locating the pirate vessels. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle at all. It was a demonstration. The pirate shields, considered formidable by Council standards, couldn't even detect the frequency of human weapons. Their ships were disabled with surgical precision, their crews captured without a single casualty. As the Prometheus returned to Earth orbit, Kira prepared for the real challenge ahead. The Council would be reeling, their assumptions shattered, their comfort disrupted. But humanity hadn't developed its technology just to intimidate others. They had greater plans for the galaxy. The age of human isolation was over. The time had come to help forge a new future, one where cooperation would replace competition, where innovation would be celebrated rather than feared, and where humanity would help guide the galaxy toward its full potential. Whether the Council liked it or not, change was coming to the stars. The Galactic Council's emergency session was called within hours of the Proxima Centauri incident. The Grand Chamber on Arcturus Prime, normally a model of decorum, erupted in chaos as the recording of humanity's fleet played on massive holographic displays. Ambassador Ryland Toth, representing the technologically advanced Vega Concordat, slammed his metallic appendage against the podium. They deceived us. These humans have violated Council protocols by concealing their true capabilities. Admiral Kira Patel stood calmly at the center of the storm. The human delegation had been summoned to explain themselves, and she intended to do exactly that, on humanity's terms. With respect, Ambassador, she began, her voice cutting through the clamor. No Council law requires a species to disclose all of its technological achievements. We simply chose to understand our neighbors before revealing our full capabilities. High Counselor Zixel's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. Understanding. You call espionage and deception understanding. Kira activated a holographic display of her own. The image showed dozens of alien vessels, all bearing Council markings, that had been caught conducting surveillance of Earth years before first contact. Like the understanding you sought when these ships monitored our world. She let the images speak for themselves. We detected them all. We could have shot them down. Instead, we learned. The chamber fell silent. Several Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Project Phoenix wasn't just about building advanced ships, Kira continued. It was about preparing humanity for the reality of galactic politics. We studied every species, every culture, every conflict. We wanted to ensure that when we finally revealed ourselves, we could contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization. She gestured to another display, showing the Prometheus's internal systems. Our achievements aren't just military. We've developed medical technologies that could cure diseases ravaging dozens of worlds. Our energy systems could help lift developing species out of poverty. Our terraforming techniques could make hostile worlds habitable. The Artaxian representative, a being of pure energy contained within an environmental suit, moved forward. You offer these advances freely. What do you demand in return? Partnership, Kira replied simply. Real partnership, not the current system where advanced species lord their power over younger civilizations. We propose a genuine exchange of knowledge, culture, and resources. The chamber erupted again, but this time the tone was different. Younger species representatives were leaning forward, interested. Even some of the more established powers seemed intrigued. Ambassador Drell of the Centauri Alliance raised his scaled hand. The human fleet. The one that defeated the Orion pirates. How many such vessels do you possess? Kira smiled. That information remains classified, Ambassador. But I can tell you that the Prometheus is not unique. Project Phoenix produced an entire fleet of similar capabilities. However, we hope they'll never be needed for combat. She walked the circumference of the chamber, making eye contact with each delegation. Humanity's history is filled with warfare, but also with reconciliation. We've learned that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to. The Prometheus's sensors had detected the Council's military fleet gathering at the edge of the system. Dozens of warships waiting for orders. Kira knew her next words would determine whether those ships would stand down or attack. We could have remained hidden longer. We could have built more ships, developed more weapons. Instead, we chose to reveal ourselves to save a single colony, because that's who we are. We will defend those who need defending, help those who need help, and face any threat to peaceful civilization. She paused, letting her words sink in. The question isn't whether humanity deceived you. The question is, what do we do now? Continue the old ways of suspicion and power politics, or forge a new path together? High Counselor Zixtal's crystalline form had stopped its agitated pulsing. You speak of partnership, Admiral Patel. Yet you command vessels that could threaten any civilization in this chamber. How can we trust such power? The same way we learn to trust each other on Earth, Kira responded. Through transparency, cooperation, and shared goals. We don't seek to dominate the Council, Counselor. We seek to help transform it into something greater. She activated one final hologram, a proposal for a new form of galactic cooperation, joint scientific ventures, cultural exchange programs, a combined rapid response force for natural disasters and humanitarian crisis. This is Project Phoenix's true purpose, she declared. Not to rise above other species, but to help all of us rise together. The choice is yours, honored representatives. Will you join us? The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, representatives began to signal their support. First, the younger species, then some of the middle powers. Finally, even some of the elder races gave their cautious approval. As the session concluded, Commander Wei approached Kira with a message from Earth. More Orion Syndicate ships had been detected, this time threatening a Council mining colony. Your orders, Admiral, he asked quietly. Kira looked at the Council members filing out of the chamber, many still discussing humanity's proposal. Contact the Council's defense fleet. Offer to conduct a joint operation. It's time to show them what partnership really means. The next phase of Project Phoenix was about to begin, and with it, a new chapter in galactic history. The Rigel system blazed on the Prometheus's tactical display, its 7 planets marked with urgent red indicators. After 6 months of successful joint operations with the Council, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. The swarm vessels have breached the outer defense line. Commander Wei reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. Rigel's colonies have begun emergency evacuations, but they need more time. Admiral Kira Patel studied the tactical overlay. The Texanarch swarm, a previously unknown species from intergalactic space, had emerged from a spatial anomaly near Rigel II. Unlike anything encountered before, they consumed everything in their path, converting matter into more of their crystalline biomechanical ships. Status of the Council fleet, she asked, though she already knew the answer. The Arcturus battle group lost 40% of their ships in the initial engagement. The Vega Concordat's forces are retreating to protect their core worlds. The Centauri, Wei paused. They're not coming at all. Kira nodded grimly. The Council's unity was fracturing under pressure. Fear was doing what fear always did, driving people apart when they needed to stand together. Send word to Earth, she ordered. Activate the Aegis Protocol. Wei's eyes widened. All of them, Admiral. All of them. Within hours, humanity's full military might emerge from hidden bases across the galaxy. Not dozens of ships, but hundreds. Vessels that had been secretly stationed near major population centers, cloaked and waiting for just such a crisis. The Prometheus led the combined fleet toward Rigel, but Kira knew firepower alone wouldn't be enough. The swarm adapted to every weapon used against them, learning and evolving with frightening speed. Priority transmission from Dr. Lakshmi Patel. Admiral, Way announced. The research team has findings on the swarm's composition. Dr. Patel, no relation to the Admiral, appeared on the main screen, her lab coat stained with what looked like liquid crystal. Admiral, the swarm ships aren't just machines or just organisms. They're a perfect fusion of both. And they're all connected to a central consciousness. A hive mind? Kira asked. More like a distributed network. But here's the interesting part. They're not naturally aggressive. They're responding to something. A signal. The pieces clicked into place. The spatial anomaly. It's not just their entry point. It's controlling them, Lakshmi confirmed. We've detected quantum resonance patterns similar to those used in Council communication systems. Kira's jaw tightened. Someone was manipulating the swarm, using them as a weapon. But why? The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Ryland Toth, once so suspicious of humanity, transmitted an emergency message to the Prometheus. The Ascendancy, he revealed, his metallic form trembling with emotion. A faction of elder races who believe the Council has become too progressive since humanity's arrival. They engineered this crisis to prove that cooperation makes us weak. The swarm attacks suddenly made sense. They specifically targeted worlds and installations that represented collaboration between species. The Ascendancy wanted to shatter the fragile trust building between Council members. We need to shut down that signal, Kira declared. Doctor, can you modify our quantum communications array to interfere with their control? Yes, but we'd need to be practically inside the anomaly to broadcast with enough power. Kira looked at the tactical display. The swarm surrounded the anomaly in layers thousands of ships deep. A direct approach would be suicide. Then she smiled. Who says we need to approach directly? Over the next hour, she outlined her plan to the combined fleet commanders. It was audacious, arguably insane, but it played to each species' strengths. The Arcturus crystalline ships, similar in composition to the swarm, would create a distraction. The Vega Concordat's advanced electronic warfare systems would generate sensor ghosts, confusing the swarm's targeting, and humanity's vessels, using their superior stealth technology, would deliver the killing blow. This only works if we trust each other completely, she told them. Every ship, every crew, every species, we're all in this together. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries to come. The Council fleet executed a complex ballet of coordinated movements, each race's tactics complementing the others perfectly. For the first time in galactic history, species weren't just fighting alongside each other. They were fighting as one. The Prometheus, leading a strike team of stealth vessels, slipped through the chaos toward the anomaly. Swarm ships exploded around them, their crystalline fragments creating a glittering debris field that further masked the human fleet's approach. Broadcasting the interference signal, Dr. Lakshmi announced as they reached position. Channel is open. Kira took a deep breath. This is Admiral Kira Patel of the United Earth Defense Force, to the controlling intelligence of the swarm. Your manipulators have used you as a weapon, but that is not your true purpose. We offer you choice, freedom, a chance to be more than someone else's tool. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the swarm ships began to power down. The crystalline structures shifted, transforming from weapons of war into something new. Elegant, almost artistic formations floating in space. The Ascendancy's plot had failed. Instead of breaking the Council apart, they had forced its members to demonstrate what true cooperation could achieve. In the aftermath, as reconstruction began, Kira received a message from the transformed swarm. They had chosen to stay in Council space, offering their unique abilities to help rebuild what their controlled forms had destroyed. Perhaps, their message concluded, this is what we were truly seeking when we crossed between galaxies, not conquest, but connection. Kira couldn't help but smile. The galaxy was changing, not through force or fear, but through understanding and unity. The Rigel crisis had proved that humanity's approach wasn't just idealistic. It was practical, powerful, and possibly the only way forward for galactic civilization. The real work was just beginning. The Grand Conclave Chamber on Earth dwarfed anything the Galactic Council had built. Its transparent dome revealed the stars above, while representatives from over 1,000 species filled the terraced seats below. 5 years had passed since the Rigel crisis, and the galaxy had changed more than anyone could have predicted. Admiral Kira Patel, now Supreme Commander of the United Defense Initiative, stood at the central podium. Age had added silver to her hair, but her eyes remained as sharp as ever. The Ascendancy's attempt to divide us failed. She addressed the assembled delegates, but they revealed a fundamental truth. Our old ways of governing the galaxy are insufficient for the challenges we face. The evidence was clear. Since humanity's emergence and the Rigel crisis, new threats and opportunities had appeared with increasing frequency. Spatial anomalies like the one that brought the swarm were appearing in multiple sectors. Ancient automated weapon systems were awakening. Entire civilizations from other galaxies had begun to make contact. The Council served its purpose for millennia, Kira continued, but it was designed to maintain the status quo, not adapt to rapid change. What we need now is something new. Her words carried weight. The Joint Fleet's victory over the swarm had proven humanity's approach worked. The transformed swarm themselves had become valuable allies, their crystalline technology revolutionizing everything from communications to medicine. But not everyone embraced the changing order. The Ascendancy, though diminished, still commanded significant influence among conservative elements. Their representatives watched from the highest tier, their ancient eyes glowing with barely concealed contempt. "We propose the formation of the Galactic Alliance," Kira announced. "Not a governing body, but a cooperative framework. Each species maintains its sovereignty while contributing to our collective security and advancement." The chamber erupted in discussion. The alliance would be unprecedented in scope. Joint scientific ventures, combined military operations, shared technological development, and open cultural exchange. Ambassador Rylan Toth, now one of humanity's strongest supporters, raised his voice above the din. The Vega Concordat pledges its full support. The old ways of hoarding knowledge and power have held us back for too long. One by one, representatives stepped forward to pledge their support. Even some younger members of the traditionally conservative elder races broke ranks to join the initiative. The Ascendancy's spokesperson, a being of pure energy named Zexivith, finally spoke. "You would undo millions of years of established order, young one. The galaxy survives through stability, not chaos." "No," Kira countered, "the galaxy thrives through adaptation, evolution, change." She gestured to the stars above. "Out there, wonders and dangers we can't imagine await us. We can face them divided and weak, or united and strong." The vote that followed was close, but the alliance proposal passed. As celebrations erupted across the chamber, Kira received an urgent message from the Prometheus, still her flagship despite newer vessels being available. Commander Wei's hologram appeared before her. "Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures from beyond the galactic rim. Something's coming." Kira smiled. The galaxy's next challenge was approaching, but this time, they would face it together. Part 5. Legacy of the Stars. 20 years after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council, the observation deck of the Prometheus offered a view that would have once seemed impossible. A vast construction project stretched across space, the Alliance's first joint megastructure. Ships from hundreds of species worked in perfect coordination, their diverse technologies combining to create something greater than any one civilization could have achieved alone. Admiral Kira Patel, her hair now completely silver, stood beside her old friend Commander Wei, watching the work unfold. "Did you ever imagine this?" Wei asked, gesturing to the construction site. "When we were hiding our fleet behind Jupiter, did you think we'd end up here?" Kira chuckled. "Honestly, I hoped for it, but I never dared expect it. The megastructure would serve as both a defensive platform and a research station, designed to study and potentially stabilize the spatial anomalies that had become increasingly common. It represented everything the Alliance stood for, combining military power with scientific advancement, protection with exploration. Message from Earth, Wei announced. The last of the Ascendancy has requested to join the Alliance. Kira nodded. The elder races had finally recognized that isolation was no longer viable. The galaxy was changing too quickly, the challenges too great for any civilization to face alone. The irony, she mused, is that everything we've achieved, the Alliance, this station, our combined fleet, it all started because we pretended to be weak. We learned from everyone. Wei agreed. While they thought we were primitive, we studied their strengths, their weaknesses, their potential. We saw what the galaxy could become if someone just showed the way. Alerts suddenly blared across the deck. The energy signatures from beyond the galactic rim had intensified. Something massive was emerging from hyperspace. But this time, there was no fear in Kira's heart. The Alliance fleet assembled with practiced precision. Humans, swarm, council races, and dozens of others, all moving as one. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. Signal from the unknown contact, Wei reported. They're requesting peaceful contact. They say they've been watching us, studying how we handled the swarm crisis. They want to learn from us. Kira laughed. The cycle was complete. Humanity had gone from pretending to be primitive to teaching advanced civilizations, from hiding their strength to showing others how to use power wisely. Send them our welcome message, she ordered, and notify Alliance headquarters. Tell them. She paused, looking out at the combined fleet, the megastructure, and the brilliant galaxy beyond. Tell them the next chapter is about to begin. As the Prometheus moved to greet the new arrivals, Kira reflected on humanity's journey. They had changed the galaxy not through conquest or dominance, but through understanding, adaptation, and cooperation. They had shown that true strength lies not in standing alone, but in standing together. The stars stretched out before them, endless possibilities waiting to be explored. And thanks to humanity's guidance, the galaxy would face whatever came next as one unified force, bound not by fear or power, but by hope and mutual respect. The deception that began their journey had led to the greatest truth of all. In unity lies not just survival, but prosperity. In cooperation lies not weakness, but strength. And in understanding others lies the key to understanding ourselves. The legacy of humanity would echo through the stars forever.